Let me ask you something honestly. Why is it that some men can say very little, do almost nothing flashy, and still leave a lasting impression on a woman, while other men talk too much, try too hard, do everything right on paper, and still end up quietly pushed into the friend zone? Most men believe attraction is built with words, the right line, the perfect compliment, the perfectly timed message. But that's not where the real shift happens. Because attraction usually changes in the moments that don't look dramatic from the outside. The pause, the eye contact, the timing, the calmness in your body, the way she feels when she is near you. And yes, sometimes the smallest form of touch can change everything. Not forced touch, not rushed touch, not manipulative touch, but intentional touch. The kind that feels natural, welcome, and emotionally aligned with the moment. Today, I'm going to show you 7 types of touch and physical presence that can create more connection, more tension, and more emotional impact with a mature woman. And the last one is the one most men completely misunderstand because they think it's about romance, but it's not. It's about safety, trust, and emotional memory. And once you understand that, your entire approach changes. Because mature women are not impressed by noise, they've heard the lines, they've seen the fake confidence, they've felt the difference between a man who is centered and a man who is performing. So what actually stands out is presence, steadiness, and a man who doesn't rush the moment. A man who understands that the goal is not to make something happen. The goal is to create an experience that feels grounded, calm, and real, because that is what stays in her mind. That is what becomes memorable. So let's break it down. The first type of touch is the calm face touch. A woman's face is intimate space, which is why most men either avoid it completely or go there too soon and ruin everything. But when the moment is right, when the energy is already warm, when eye contact is there, when she is relaxed and leaning in, a gentle touch near her face can feel incredibly powerful. Not because it is aggressive, but because it is calm. You don't rush it, you don't grab, you don't perform, you slow down, hold eye contact, and if the moment is clearly mutual, you lightly move a strand of hair away from her face or touch her cheek with softness and control. That kind of touch communicates more than attraction. It communicates comfort, attention, and emotional control. And that's why it lands so deeply. Because mature women are extremely sensitive to the difference between a man who is grounded and a man who is trying to force intimacy. One feels attractive, the other feels invasive. And that difference is everything. The second type is the steady hand at the lower back. This is one of the simplest and most effective forms of touch when it fits the situation, like walking through a doorway, moving through a crowd, or crossing a room. A light, respectful hand at the lower back communicates calm leadership without saying a word. Not ownership, not pressure, just direction. It signals awareness, presence, and stability. And that's why it works. Because attraction grows when a woman feels she doesn't have to manage everything herself. But the key is awareness. The pressure should be light, the moment should make sense, and the contact should feel respectful, not assumed. If she relaxes into it, that's information. If she pulls away, that's information too, and a confident man reads both. That's what makes the touch attractive, not the contact itself, but the awareness behind it. The third type is the slow hand connection. Most men ruin this because they move too fast. They treat it like a big move instead of a natural progression. But real connection builds gradually. A light brush of fingers while walking. A playful touch during laughter. A moment where your hands meet and linger slightly longer than expected. That's how anticipation builds, not through force, but through possibility. And possibility is powerful, because anticipation is one of the strongest emotional drivers of attraction. When something almost happens but isn't rushed, the moment becomes charged. And when you finally hold her hand naturally, it feels earned, not taken. That's the difference between chemistry and awkwardness. The fourth type is the hair touch in a quiet moment. This is not for early interaction. It's for when closeness already exists, when the energy is soft and intimate, when the moment feels calm. Lightly touching her hair or tucking it behind her ear, can feel deeply personal when it's aligned with the moment. Not because it is dramatic, but because it feels real. And this is something many men miss. Not all attraction grows through intensity. Some of it grows through softness. A mature woman isn't just looking for excitement. She's looking for how she feels around you. Can she relax? Can she soften? Can she stop performing for a moment? That's why this kind of touch can be more powerful than words, because it makes her associate your presence with ease, and ease becomes addictive. The fifth type is the grounded shoulder touch. This is often overlooked because it isn't overtly romantic, but emotionally, it can be very strong. When she is stressed, opening up, or going through something, a steady hand on her shoulder with real presence can build deep trust. Not as a tactic, but as support. And support matters more than most men realize, because many women have experienced desire, but far fewer have experienced emotional safety. That's why this leaves such a strong impression, because you're not trying to impress, you're showing stability, and stability builds trust. The sixth type is the playful arm touch. Not every moment should be serious, because attraction dies when everything becomes heavy. A light nudge, a playful tap, a quick squeeze during laughter keeps the energy alive. This adds movement to the interaction, creating a balance between tension and ease, seriousness and playfulness. That contrast is important because attraction is built on emotional variety, not monotony. And when playful touch is combined with grounded presence, the interaction feels alive instead of flat. The seventh type is the hug that changes how she feels around you. This is the one most men misunderstand because they think a hug is just a social gesture, something quick and automatic. But a real hug, a grounded, calm, present hug, can create a lasting emotional imprint. The difference is not force, it's presence. A forgettable hug is rushed, stiff, distracted, but a memorable one feels calm, warm, and fully present. Your breathing is steady. Your body is relaxed. You're not trying to prove anything. You're just there. And when that happens, she feels it. Because for a few seconds, she experiences closeness without pressure, connection without expectation, and safety without effort. That is rare, and rarity creates impact. If she walks away feeling calmer and more connected, she remembers that. Not because of a trick, but because of how your presence affected her. And that is the real secret most men miss. Attraction is not just about stimulation, it's about regulation. Can your presence make her feel more comfortable in her own body? Can your energy feel calm instead of rushed? Can your touch feel aligned instead of forced? That's what separates men who are briefly interesting from men who are emotionally memorable. So here's the truth. Mature women don't respond to empty gestures. They respond to consistency, awareness, and emotional steadiness. And that's why touch matters so much. Not because it is magic, but because it reveals who you are underneath your words. If you are rushed, she feels it. If you are unsure, she feels it. If you are grounded, she feels that too. And once you understand this, you stop trying to impress and start learning how to create an experience, one that feels intentional, respectful, and real. That is what stays with her after the moment ends. That is what separates average interactions from unforgettable ones. If this changed the way you see attraction, presence, and connection, make sure you subscribe. Because in the next video, I'm going to break down 3 subtle behaviors that instantly weaken attraction, the kind most men do without realizing. And once you see them, you won't be able to ignore them anymore.